I'm excited for tonight. If you want to write down, if you're taking notes, the name of your message tonight is We Are Loud, okay? I thought that kind of hit very close to home with me. If you really know me, I'm always loud. I'm always obnoxious. I'm pretty annoying. I'll admit it, okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, y'all can... All right. Y'all can settle down just a little. I get the point, all right? I'm a little too loud and annoying. Thank you, Shay. Love you, too. Mr. Never Respond to Text Messages. So I'm just saying. So, but all right, hey, check this out. I want you guys tonight. Your message verse. This is what I put down. If you guys just want James 2:14. Here's what it says. It says, "What good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith, but you don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith really save anyone?" And the reason that I chose that tonight is because we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a loud person, okay? A lot of times we hear the word loud and you might think, okay, annoying. Like sometimes you walk into a room and you got that person that's like overzealously wanting a high five. They're like, "Hey, how are you today? How's your day going?" You're like, "Whoa, all right." Like you got shot. Is anybody not a morning? First of all, who is a morning person? Okay? I'm a morning person. If I run into you, I'm like, "Hey, Sunday morning, how you doing?" I haven't even had a chance to hit Coffee Central yet, okay? Like you need to, is anybody that way? Like I got to have don't talk to me, don't high five, let me get my coffee in me first and I'm good, okay? 30 minutes in the morning. You have 30 minutes before you get to church to get ready, so you should be good. Showered, eat. So here's what I want to ask you guys, okay? And I always love asking these questions because I like to see how many of y'all point each other out. You're not allowed to point this direction, okay? But I am going to ask the question. How many of you guys, when you look at those around you, how many of you guys have that friend that's the loudest person in the world, okay? How many of you, that person is sitting in this room right now? Braden, I'm glad you're pointing to you're pointing to yourself. That's good, okay? That's it. Let me see the hands. If that person that is the loudest one in the room is sitting in here, point to him right now, like call him out. Don't count yourself. I want you to be honest. Like, if you took a poll, who is the loudest person in this room? Oh man, Shay's pretty loud. Okay. Why are you pointing this direction? You're not a student. Y'all don't know Emily at home, okay? Y'all don't know Emily at home. She's pointing to me, but I've always told people that, have you guys ever heard that husband that needs a restraining order because his wife beats him? That's going to be me, okay? She's a yeller. Yeah, she's violent. So if I ever need to stay at somebody's house, my wife is violent toward me. I just want to let y'all throw that out there. But look, hey, so there's no judgment here. But that friend of yours, in all honesty, that friend of yours that's the loudest one in here, okay? Some of y'all, you're pointing to yourselves, okay? So this might be questioning for yourself again. But how many of you, that friend does it just to get noticed? Okay, you need to point your finger the other direction because she's about to start pointing me. So how many of you that's the reason that they're loud is just so they get noticed, okay? How many of you in that room that points to that person, they do get noticed because they're obnoxiously loud about everything, okay? Like you walk into school, you walk in to see them, like they're like, you literally do this only so people notice that you're in the room, okay? So Blake, I got you. I'm good. I see who you're pointing to, so I got you. But hey, so it draws attention to them, right? It shows them that they're noticed. You know, if you guys obviously have ever met our daughter Addison, unfortunately, she's continuing to grow louder and louder and louder as she gets older, okay? I have no idea where that comes from. I think it's Emily. But she is continuing. I know, right? That's a good joke, but I'm being serious, though. But I think it is. I think it does come from Emily. But Addison's loud, okay? Addison is that type of person that for no reason at all, she'll be standing in the room. And how many of you have ever seen that meme of that child that's eating the cotton candy that looks like she's about to have a seizure, like she's like stroke? That's Addison, okay? I'm waiting to be able to take that same picture of her so we can be famous on our meme of our daughter. Addison will be in the middle of the room. Like, we'll be sitting there watching Trolls for the 1800 gazillionth time. She's hooked on it right now, guys. But she'll be sitting there watching. No reason. She'll be like, Poppy! Like, just out of excitement, okay? Like, Poppy will come on. Like, if you don't know who Poppy is, okay, look, I can repeat the whole Princess Poppy, okay? She'll see it. She loves Poppy. We bought her a Poppy doll the other day. Where's Poppy? Pop! Just yelling, okay? No reason whatsoever. Then sometimes you'll be playing with her and wrestling with her. She'll just start screaming. Like, she's just like, ah! Like, she's just loud, okay? She's the loudest person. I already know that when she gets into, like, grade school, we're in trouble, okay? Like, how many of y'all in grade school ever had those, like, red light, green lights? You ever had, like, notes? You were like, hey, you had a green light. You had a good day. Well, you had yellow, so you were kind of so-so. Red means, like, you're in trouble. Like, you know, if you're red, your mom and dad, like, you're getting, like, straight up, let's just be honest. How many of y'all had red light, you're getting a beating, okay? So, like, all right, sorry. We're not calling anybody here, like, we're getting beaten, all right? So you know red light's happening, okay? So that's what I worry is going to be Addison. But when I think about that, what's so funny is that Addison watches and imitates everything, okay? Unfortunately, I know where that comes from, okay? That is me. Pastor Brandon has told me very cautiously how to do things with Addison because he's told me before, hey, I did those things with Isabella, and you just need to know, if you wrestle with her and do those things, she's going to be a roughhousing. Like, she's going to be that person at school that thinks she can hug everybody. And some kid's going to get, like, that's going to be Addison, okay? Addison's going to be in line for chocolate milk, and she's going to randomly hug some person, and we're going to get a note to see the principal because she abused somebody, okay? Like, she's just vicious, okay? I know it's coming. But she imitates everything that she sees right now. And she imitates those things, which is how it is for us. But see, as I thought about that with Addison, you know, sometimes, yes, I am loud. I am crazy. I know some of you guys are in this room too. But you know what? I am that way because that's what I want you to imitate. That's what I want you to be yourself. As believers and followers of Christ, as a Cultivate student, I don't want you to be quiet. I don't want you to kind of sit quietly in the corner. I don't want you to not share what God is doing in your life and the relationship you have. I don't want you to be that student that's just so quiet. I want you to be loud. And I want you to, like, slap people in the face when you're worshiping because you're so excited. And I want you just to be flailing your arms. I want you to be that loud and outgoing person because that is who we have called to be. Think about it right now. Every single one of you in this room has a circle of influence. Okay? You heard Avery talk about that last week. Your circle of influence is the people that you interact with every day that you have some type of influence over. Some of you in this room have massive circles of influence just because of your role, whether it's at church, whether it's your role at school, whether it's your role in your family. Some of you may have small circles of influence, but each and every one of you in this room has some type of circle of influence. And what I mean is, how are you going to use that? As followers and believers of Christ, be the loudest person in the room. Be the person that is not afraid to share your faith. Be loud. Be crazy. Be someone that's just obnoxious about your faith because that's how it does for you. We as Cultivate students, that's what we want to be. We want to be loud. We want to be outgoing. We want these things. Part of our mission as Cultivate students is to teach you to do that and to teach you to be comfortable with that in your own relationship with Christ. To be like, I'm okay being that person. I'm okay being loud. I'm okay being outgoing about my faith. I don't have to hide away who I am. Check this out. Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. It says this. It says, you are the light that gives light to the world. The city is built on a hill, cannot be hidden. And people do not hide a light under a bowl. They put it on a lampstand so that the light shines for all people in the house. And in the same way, you should be a light for other people. Live so that they see the good things you do and will praise your Father in heaven. So check this out. If real quick, and the team's going to help me out, if this room just went completely dark, okay? So they're going to turn this room dark in a second. If we turned all the lights off in the room, okay? There's a little bit of light here and there, okay? Right now, you probably can't find your way around this room, okay? Right now, you're probably like, I can't get to the back. I have no idea. Like, yeah, you might see a little light, but you're thinking like, okay, I can't find my way. Well, here's the thing, guys. If you turn on a light, and I was to take this light, how many of you could probably find your way to the platform? Even with not being able to see the ground, even with not being able to see it, you could probably find your way up here. See, guys, when you have yourself, when you're like this light, when you're loud and crazy and outgoing, that means that that people can find their way to you. People can find the relationship that you have with Christ. You can find your way from anywhere in this room up to the front where this light is, because you can see it even in a room that's dark. So the team, you guys can go ahead and turn the lights back on. And as they turn those lights on, what I'm trying to get across to you is, as you look at your own life, guys, right now, a lot of times in your schools, in your homes, you're in dark worlds. You're in places where maybe God, you don't see God as much. You see people that don't have a relationship, or maybe you're involved with things, or your friends they don't really follow Christ, so they don't have that relationship. But you do, but maybe you need to be loud about it so you stand out among the crowd. Just like now in that room that's completely dark, all of your attention was here. All of your attention was like, okay, I can see where Adam is because he has a flashlight. I can hear him. But now that I actually can see that, I can see where he is that he's supposed to go. Guys, if you choose to live a quiet life, a life that's covered as a believer, how are any of your friends ever going to find their way to Christ? If you choose to live that life and not be at least somewhat outgoing about your relationship, how can your friends find their way to Christ? I want you to let that sink in for a minute. Think about your own life right now. Think about the things you do on a daily basis. Think about the things you talk about, the things you look at, the relationship you have with Christ now, maybe the relationship you want to have, maybe the relationship you have with your friends. How much do you share what you learn in here on a Wednesday or maybe on a Sunday with those people that you see on a consistent basis? Can your friends right now find their way to a relationship with Christ because of you? Can your friends find that where they are? Don't spend your life hiding away your light. Don't spend your life being so quiet. Don't be that light that's so dim that you have it and you got it like, well, I might let it shine through the cracks of my fingers. Like, I'll kind of let it sit here and let people, people can know I go to church on Sunday, but I don't want them to know I have like a relationship with Christ because they'll think differently of me. Don't be that student that does that, because our heart and our passion is to do that. Part of having a faith is to be ready to share it. Part of having faith with Christ is being ready to tell your friends and your family what it is that God does for you in your life. Where is God pushing you? Where is God trying to make you better? Where is God trying to make you a better person? What are things that God right now is trying to teach you in your life? Maybe you're in a situation right now and you're like, God, it cannot get any worse than this. Like, it can't get any worse. Like, God, I need you to help me out of this situation. Maybe God's got you in a situation you need to figure out. Maybe God's got you in a situation where he's trying to teach you a lesson. Those are the type of things, the relationships that we need to have. So what I was looking at is that, yes, I want you to be loud. I want you to be outgoing. I want you to be that type of Cultivate student. But there are some things that come with it. If we choose to be this way, if we choose that we're going to be loud, some of the things that come with it when we choose to be loud is, first of all, you need to be proud. Okay, you need to be proud. Check this out. Amos chapter 3, verse 8. Here's what it says. It says, the lion has roared. Who isn't frightened? God has spoken. What prophet can keep quiet? Guys, when you have a relationship with Christ and you hear him speak to you, think about that. Just like a lion roars, if you heard a lion roar, who would not be afraid? Okay, if you heard a lion out in the wilderness, you're like, hey, I'm stuck, it's me and him, like, I'm not going to survive this. Who would not be afraid? God is like a roaring lion. God is this massive person that can change our lives. So when we hear these things, why would we not? So don't live your life ashamed. Don't be ashamed of your relationship. Don't hide away. Show it. Be outgoing. Show those things. Here's what I want you guys to do. Take a moment right now and just think about an accomplishment you've had in your life, okay? Think about something you've done, whether it's, so maybe you studied all this time and you got a good grade on a test and you ended up passing class with a C and you almost failed and had to take summer school, but you're excited because you didn't, okay? That's a good accomplishment, okay? You probably wouldn't be here tonight, you'd be home studying, okay? Maybe it's something big. Maybe it's a big game that you won. Maybe it's something you've done here at the church that you're like, hey, I've accomplished that. That's something that was big and exciting to me. But take a moment right now and think about something you've done in your life, some type of accomplishment, whether it's big or small. What has it done for your life? What did it do for you? How did it make you feel when you accomplished that? I was thinking, like, hey, what's one of my big accomplishments to me? What's something massive that's happened in my life? And I thought about the fact that Addison's here. because now I get to be a dad. I don't know why God allowed that, okay? The fact that she's still alive after almost 2 years, if I didn't have Emily and it was just me and Addison, we'd be in some trouble, okay? But that's a big accomplishment for me. That's the only thing I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to have somebody I can raise. That's a big accomplishment to me. It makes me feel fulfilled. It makes me feel like I have some type of purpose in my life. It makes me feel and understand that I have somebody now that I'm caring for and I want to raise. So what is something that you've done in your life that's done the exact same thing, okay? Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that same feeling that you had, and maybe you sit in this room, if you have a relationship with Christ and you follow Christ, you have that relationship with him, how did that make you feel when you made that decision? When you chose to follow Christ, when you chose to have that relationship with him, was it one of the most exciting things you've done? Was it when you were you somebody, did you get to get baptized in front of the church and you got to hear the pastors talk about your story and everybody got to watch? Is that not something that's just huge and fulfilling and exciting in your life? Maybe you haven't yet, and that's something that you're searching for. I want to tell you that my prayer is that when you finally make that choice and you choose to follow God, that it is one of the most exciting events in your life, that it is something that's big and massive and life-changing, and something that you remember forever to say, that was the day that I did that. That was the day that I decided to follow Christ. Here's one of my favorite verses in the Bible is Romans 1:16. Here's what it says. It says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes." Guys, when you read that verse, it has one meaning. It means don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of your relationship with Christ. Don't ever be ashamed of what God does in your life. Don't ever be ashamed not to share what God is doing through you. And so that's always been one of my favorite verses, because it lets me know, hey, we're made to share about our relationship with Christ. We're made to share those things. So be loud and outgoing about it. We shouldn't be ashamed of those. We want to do things that are crazy. We want to act a fool on Wednesday nights, all right? We want to dress up crazy. We want to invite our friends here on a Wednesday so they can experience what I experienced. Those are the type of things that we want to do, and we're going to do that. We're going to act crazy. We're going to go all these crazy events that we have just so we can bring others. You've heard Pastor Brandon say before, we'll do anything short of sin to bring somebody to Christ. We will. Even in Cultivate students, we'll do anything we can to bring your friends to Christ, no matter what it is. We want to be able to share with them the love that he has. Now here's the second thing, is that if you choose to share that and you're proud and unashamed and you're going to live loudly, one of the things that you want to be is you want to be rooted. Hey, you want to be rooted. Here's what that means. In Colossians chapter 2, verse 7, it says, "Let your roots grow down into him and let your lives be built on him. Then your faith will grow strong in the truth you weren't taught, and you will overflow with thankfulness." As when you read that verse, what it's saying is that when you have a relationship with Christ, take a moment to grow into him. Take a moment to let your roots grow deep into who he is, into his word, and be those things so you can learn more about who he is and you can be stronger in those things. Be loud and outgoing about your faith. Be rooted in God. And not just rooted in God, guys, but be rooted in the local church. Be rooted in your student ministry. Be rooted in a small group. Be rooted in all these things, because ultimately, guys, the enemy is going to bring some type of force. It doesn't matter what it might be. It's going to bring something against you. It's going to bring something that's going on in your life. Maybe you're doing well. Maybe you started just serving, and you're serving with the church, and you're serving with students, and you're doing these things, but you're like, why is life just getting crazy? That's the enemy coming after you. That's the enemy trying to do everything it can to knock you over and to change you, because right now you're doing what you're called to do. You're following Christ, and so that's what the enemy wants to do. You know, have you guys ever seen like redwoods out in California, like these massive big trees, like the redwood forest? They're huge. You can drive cars through them. Like, they're so huge. They got a redwood forest. Well, these trees, you would think, these are some of the biggest trees that you can see in the world. You would think they've got to have roots that grow for miles, right? Like, they've got to have roots that, as big as that tree is, as round as it is, there's no way that the roots just aren't miles underground. But you know, redwood trees actually have the shortest roots of all the trees in the world. So it's one of the largest trees and has one of the shortest roots. One of the most important parts about a redwood tree is their roots grow outward. Okay, they don't grow downward, they grow outward. And so what that means is all their roots grow together. And all their roots around each other grow together, and it makes them stronger, and it makes them better, and it keeps them from being blown over, and it keeps them from coming down, because they've grown together to be stronger. A redwood tree doesn't survive just by itself. A redwood tree survives because it's able to allow its roots to grow in with others around it. Just like with your faith, Just like with your faith, you got to be outward. You have to grow outward. You don't want to grow just downward. You want to grow outward into others, into a relationship with Christ, into your church, into your small groups. You want to grow into these things so you can be stronger, so you can stay stronger in your relationship. Check this out. Psalms chapter 1:3 says this. It says, they are like trees planted along the riverbank, bearing fruit each season. Their lives never wither, and they're prospered in all they do. See, guys, what that means is that that tree is planted in the right place, right? Like it's planted right along the riverbank. It's being fed. It's being watered. It has its nutrients. It's bearing fruit because it's exactly where it's supposed to be. And that's exactly where your relationship is with Christ. Put yourself close to the riverbank. Put yourself close to others that know Christ so you can continue to grow and you can continue to bear fruit. That's the type of relationship you want to have. You want to be rooted in your faith. The final part that I have for you is that, guys, if you're going to be loud and you're going to be outgoing, that means you want to be fearless. It means you want to be fearless with your faith. Did you guys know, if you think about right now, you might be, each of you pointed to somebody in this room, but each of you, think about a moment where fears kind of set in, whether it's you had to give a speech that you didn't want to give, or maybe it's like you had to go home and you had to face your parents after you failed a test, or you did something you shouldn't have, or maybe you had to face a friend that you let down, whatever it is. Fear has a way of bringing silence into our lives, right? Like fear has a way of quieting us down. Fear has a way to keep us from being outgoing and talking more. So when we allow fear into our life, it shuts us down and holds us captive. I was trying to think to myself of a story just when I was dealing with fear and how it dealt. And I was thinking back then in high school, we got to go on a mission trip to Thailand. And guys, we were living in the jungle, okay? In the middle of nowhere. Like these people in Thailand, like it took us like a couple hours to get up to this village that we were going to be helping them build a new church in. And so we go all this way. The people that were there, their houses had nothing but dirt floors, okay? We got to stay in the only place that had a concrete floor. It was the school that was there that a church previous before us had built. And I remember fearing for my life being in this jungle. First and foremost, you'll know about how I feel about snakes, okay? So I'm already I'm watching my step everywhere I go, okay? Like we're in the middle of the jungle. They have anacondas that are longer than this room, okay? So I know I'm watching everything I do, every step, okay? Like I'm freaking out. The worst part about that, where I was literally probably crying myself to sleep every night. We stayed in this school, okay? There was a door. It was one door in and out. Well, they had a bunch of windows to keep the school cool. Well, they didn't have school cool. They didn't have like anything on the windows. Like it was just open. So they were wide open. There was no screens, no glass, no nothing. And I remember laying there on a concrete floor every night and hearing something get eaten, like it was being torn apart into a gazillion pieces. Like I remember laying there, and we had a guide that was with us, and I remember hearing just this, like it sounded like somebody had ran over a cat, threw it in a dumpster, like set it on fire. Like it was just ridiculous, okay? Like I'm laying there and I'm like, okay, what is this noise? Okay, what is that? He's like, oh, that's just the lions and the tigers. They're just out. They hunt at night, and so they're just looking for their prey. Like, guys, it was ridiculous, okay? Like, it sounded like, and it was the sounds that the animals were making, it was miserable, okay? You can only imagine the pain that was going through their body. And I'm laying there every single night listening to this. And he kept telling us, hey, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry. They're in this school. They don't normally come into the villages because they're scared. They don't come into the village. I said, well, it sounds like he's outside the window enjoying his midnight snack, okay? And I don't want to be the next one. Next thing I know, all I can think about is a tiger jumping through the window, and then it's just game over, okay? And so I remember laying there in the middle of this jungle, fearing and thinking to myself, like, I'm going to get eaten, and I'm never going to get to go home, and this is where I'm going to die. And I remember laying there thinking those things, but even in that moment that I heard our guide say, you're fine, you're protected, nothing's going to hurt you, nothing's going to come after you, I still had a fear that went through me. I still had a fear that made me quiet. See, guys, the enemy doesn't want you to be loud, okay? The enemy doesn't want you to be outgoing. Look, if the enemy can't stop you from having a relationship with Christ, it'll take the next best thing. That means what the enemy's going to do is like, okay, if I can keep them from sharing with what God's doing in their life, if I can keep them from sharing with all the people they spend their time with, if I can keep them from sharing with their influence, then I've already won. Then I've already kept from it. So the enemy is going to do everything it can. It's going to put fear into your life to keep you from those moments. is going to put fear into your life to keep you from sharing about your relationship, from sharing what you feel like God is doing in your life. I'm sure you can think right now to yourself of something that you've done or something that you've wanted to do that fear has just held you captive. And fear has shut you down, and fear has kept you from doing what you've wanted to do. Fear just wants to do nothing more than shut you up, because the enemy doesn't want you to be outgoing. The enemy doesn't want you to share those things in your life. Check this in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. It says this. It says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will never leave you." So guys, when you read that verse, it should let you know, hey, I'm here. Okay, I know what my relationship with Christ is about. I know what that means. I'm proud of the relationship I have. I'm rooted in him, and I'm going to stand here and I'm not going to allow anything to mess with me. I'm not going to allow anything to bring fear into my life. I'm not going to allow anything that I deal with right now to keep me from being loud. I'm not going to allow anything to make me this quiet, sit in the corner Christian that covers their light. I want to make sure that in a room, in a world that's dark, my friends, my family, anybody I come interact with can find their way to where I am. And so that's where I want you guys to look at. I want you to live a life that's full. I want you to live these things. I want you to push the boundaries of your comfort zones. I want you to continue to grow outward. And I want you to continue to grow into others, so that way you can continue to have this strong relationship with Christ, and you can continue to affect this world positively. And you can show them what a relationship with Christ truly looks like. So when you guys leave here today, allow yourself to be loud. Allow yourself to be outgoing. Allow yourself to be able not to be fearful of the things that the enemy brings into your life. Will you guys bow your heads with me tonight? All heads are bowed and all eyes are closed. Guys, I want you to take a moment. We've talked about a couple things that I want you guys just to kind of think about, but I want you to think in particularly, where's your light been? How have you portrayed your light to those that are around you? Like I said, each of you in this room have a circle of influence. Whether you believe it or not, every one of you in this room right now has some circle of influence. It may be large, it may be small. But right now you have a circle that you influence. You have people that you influence right now in your life. That light, just like the flashlight that I had. Right now, if you were in this room and it was dark and somebody needed to find you, needed to find Christ, would they be able to find their way to you? Would they be able to look around in the dark and say, there it is. There's where you are. Or if the room was dark and they needed to find you, they needed to find a relationship with Christ, they needed something to fill the hole that's in their life, would they just be walking around in their dark, just feeling on the walls? Feeling for anything to help them get out of the situation they're in? What kind of light do you have right now in your life? Are you just like that city that can't be hidden, guys? Are you making sure that you're firmly planted on the top of the hill so that everybody can see who you are, what you're about, and the relationship that you have with Christ? Guys, we told you, summer's not just a chance for fun. Summer's not just a chance to kind of relax. Guys, summer's a chance to grow. Summer's a chance that you don't have as much going on in your life, and this is a moment that you can take and change. Guys, you still have 2 months left of summer. You've got plenty of time to use that to grow and to be loud and to be outgoing and to let your light continue to shine brighter and brighter and brighter, so that way that your friends can see it from miles and miles away. So how are you going to continue to do this summer? How are you going to continue to live this summer? Are you going to let your light just continue just to kind of almost let the batteries die out? Just gets lower and lower and lower. Are you going to sit there and let that just be as bright and shining as possible? You know, we talked about earlier too, that relationship with Christ and how it wants to be one of the most proudest moments in your life. It's life-changing. You know that right from this moment on, my life's going to be different. And maybe you're sitting in this room tonight and you haven't felt that before. Maybe you're sitting in this room tonight and you haven't had that feeling in your heart of the greatest moment in your life when you gave your heart over to Christ. I want to give you that opportunity before you leave tonight to make that change. Guys, I want to give you that opportunity tonight to make that decision. And look, if you make that decision tonight, I want to challenge you guys. This month, say, you know what, I want to be baptized. I want to put it out there. I'm ready to make that change. I want you to have that moment that's life-changing. When you're in front of everyone, you say, hey, I want to give my heart to Christ. So tonight, I want to give you that chance. Guys, there's no secret class you got to take. There's no like secret words you got to say. Guys, it's simply right now giving your heart over to Christ. It's simply saying, I'm leaving behind what I've done. My old self has died and I'm ready to bring something new. And if you want to make that change, guys, if you want to allow your light to shine, here's what I want you to do. Make sure all heads are bowed, all eyes are closed. I don't want to give you any reason to say I couldn't do it tonight. I want to give you that chance right now. On the count of 3, I want you to put your hand up and say, I'm ready to make that choice and I'm ready to give my heart over to Christ. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm ready to make that choice. Guys, I see that hand. That's awesome. Guys, I see in the back. Guys, it's an awesome decision to make that choice. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we want to lift up these students, God. I want to encourage them to continue to have a light that shines for you, God. God, we know that right now the world is crazy. It feels like it's gone dark, but sometimes there's got to be some light inside of a dark room, God. And I pray that in this room, that's these students, that they say, hey, I'm going to turn my light on so others can find Christ. Others can find Him. God, I want you just to put these students in situations where they can share their faith. Put them in situations where they can be loud and they can be outgoing, God, and they can feel proud about what they have. And they feel rooted in you and they're fearless in their relationship with Christ, God. I just ask that you just pour that over them. God, in your name we pray. Amen.